Mementos is a very weird deck, and in today's video, I'll be talking about why Mementos kind of sucks right now and what they need to do to fix this archetype. Now, if you don't know what Mementos do, they basically are trying to summon out this big boss monster, which needs to shuffle 5 other Memento monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard to the deck or extra deck. So, we potentially could be getting an extra deck monster for this archetype. I mean, it says it right here. We should be. Or it could be a pendulum monster, I assume, something like that. So, this deck is just not good. And the reason why is because they focus too much around this Nether Skull Dragon, which doesn't even have protection. This card just, it doesn't do anything but summon another body on board. If you can see, it says, once per turn, if your opponent activates a card or effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon one Mementos monster from your hand or graveyard, which could be pretty good. I mean, you could summon back Fairy Witch. Fairy Witch can then add Mace, and then Mace is an interruption because it says during your main phase, or during your opponent's main phase, if you control a Nether Skull Dragon, quick effect, you can discard this card. Then target one face-up monster your opponent controls to take control of it until the end phase. So, I mean, it's pretty good for that, but besides that, if they have a Kaiju, if they have, you know, I don't know, Herald of the Abyss, if they have, like, any removal, it could be Mind Control, freaking anything, bro. Like, it just gets outed by anything, and I guess they expect you to play this card. I didn't pull it up, but it is called Memento Boneback. It says, if a face-up Memento monsters you control leaves the field because of your opponent's card, special summon one Nether Skull Dragon from your hand or deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. Now, the problem with this card is, and you probably noticed it by now, it doesn't summon from the graveyard. So that means is, if they ouch your Memento Nether Skull Dragon, you have to play another one. Like, it's just so flawed. So now, you not only have the problem of this monster being so easy to out, because your cards require you to have it on the field, like this, the Mace, the Goblin, so you can't get targeted, or the Cranium Burst, because you need this to lower its attack to negate. So, if they out this, you just lose. So this deck is just garbage for that. But, another kind of issue, and you can see in the deck, is that this deck needs Small World. Now, whenever you see a deck that needs Small World, it's either the deck is inconsistent, or it relies too much on one card. Now, it doesn't really rely on one card, although Fairy Witch is one of the most important cards in the deck, you need to get to it. The deck is just not consistent enough, and it doesn't play through hand traps very well. The only extenders in this deck is the Yugioh and the Bone Party. Other than that, none of these monsters, like, special summon. Like, really, at all. Darkblade, you have to normal summon it. Fairy Witch, you have to normal summon it. Mace, you have to normal summon it. Nether Skull Dragon takes too much setup. Goblin, you have to normal summon it. And then this card is the only other extender, but it requires you to have 3 or more Memento monsters with different name in your graveyard. So, the problem with this deck is that if you get hand trapped, say if you like normal summon Darkblade, you use Darkblade effect to destroy itself, and if you do special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck, what do? You have to rely on either having Yugioh or having Bone Party to pretty much extend through that. So that's one of like the main issues. It's not only that it relies too much on the Nether Skull Dragon, this deck just loses to one hand trap a lot of the time. Now, you could play other engines like the Horus engine. You can't really play the Adventure engine, although I guess you can somewhat. But for the most part, you can't because you rely on your normal summon too much. And then maybe like the Runic engine, maybe. But even then, the deck just kind of sucks. And there is a new monster that comes out called Memento Added Ghost. That is pretty good. But it says, if this card is normal special summon, you can target one Memento card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard by the effects of a Memento monster, you can special summon this card. So, and then you can only use each effect of, you know, Added Ghost once per turn. Now, again, the problem is not fixed with this deck. It doesn't add consistency, and it doesn't act as an extender to play around hand traps. It is only an extender when you start playing. So, I'd say what Memento needs to be meta right now, or like in the future, is that they need more extenders. They need more ways to play around hand traps. 2, they need more searchers, because in a deck that plays Small World is just too inconsistent. And then 3, I think they just need something to get to the field spell. The field spell is a little bit too important to get your setup rolling, because with the 1-card combos with Dark Blade and Fairy Witch, they only get you access to the big monster, Nether Skull Dragon. And that's it. You don't get anything. You maybe get like a Fairy Witch if you use Dark Blade to, you know, get to the combo. And that can get to Mace. And then you have a Steel. That's it. The engine doesn't really get you to much interruption. And even with the combo, the full combo with the field spell, because if you don't know the field spell, it says once per turn during your end phase, you can set 1 Memento spell and trap card in your graveyard, set it. So that is how you get to the trap card instead of just like searching it with the effective mace, which says during your main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, add 1 Memento card from your deck to your hand. You can't get to the Cranium Burst half of the time, or a lot of the time, because you don't have the field spell. And sometimes you can't even use Mace to get to the trap, because your deck is too inconsistent and you need to add some of these other cards that you need, like the Yugioh, or the field spell, or, you know, Bone Party to extend or whatever. So there's not really any options to get to this Cranium Burst. There's not a consistent way to get it to it. So the deck is not only underwhelming in the department of, you know, 1-card combos, but when it does set up, it only gets around two interruptions, which is the Mace and the Cranium Burst. So that is the biggest issues with this deck, and hopefully you learn something from this video and like what Mementos do, because I was trying to make this deck work for about 2 weeks, and not even 2 weeks, just like a week, and I could already see tons of flaws in this deck. So, do I think Mementos is worth picking up right now? Definitely not. This deck is not great. It's not good. If you like the cards, you could definitely play this at a locals. Like, this could definitely do well at a locals. But if you're trying to go to like a regionals or YCS, Mementos is just not good, for just the many reasons that I just explained in this video. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned that Mementos suck and you should not touch this deck until they get like 3 other really good cards, like an Extender, Searcher, maybe even a Field Spell Searcher, something like that. You know, anything for this deck. More interruptions. Like, this deck just needs a lot of work with the new support, maybe coming out in the next main set in the OCG. So, that is it, guys. I'm out.